Good morning. We are up exceedingly early. We got up at 3 a.m. It's currently 4 a.m. and we are about to set off to Manchester Airport to board a flight to Barcelona, a lovely trip that my girlfriend purchased for me as a gift for my 30th. So I'm really excited about that. We're about to go and I thought we could go together. So come along with us to Barcelona. We have arrived at our room. The hotel's called De Nit and it's pretty central in Barcelona, but I thought I'd do a little hotel room tour. And so we have the mirror as you come in. It's a really strange layout, but the room's actually really beautiful. It smells really good. So we have another mirror and our sink for the bathroom side of things. We have a wardrobe and some drawers, the lovely bed, which is very nice. The toilet is situated in front of the bed with a shower, so it's a bit of an odd view from the bed. We have a TV and there's a mini fridge and a coffee machine and a safe as well. And the view is just of other buildings, so I won't show you out there, but it's a really, really nice little setup. Really perfect just for the two of us. Right, so I'm going to be giving you a whistle-stop tour of Barcelona and our lovely 5 days away, condensed all into 22 minutes. So for our first day, as you saw, we got on our flight, we got to the hotel, we managed early check-in, and then we headed on a 20-minute walk straight to the Sagrada Familia, which is Gaudi's biggest known works, and quite frankly is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. This basilica took up most of Gaudi's time, and as you can see from this video here, the orange is what is still being constructed and will still continue to be constructed, and a lot of it is old, a lot of it is new. So as you can see from this view, this is a lot of the first initial works that Gaudi was still alive for, and then to the left there and round the other side is a lot of the newer works that was constructed following Gaudi's death. The inside here is absolutely stunning. The architecture is massively influenced by Mother Nature, and you can see here the columns are actually designed to resemble tree trunks with branches that create a canopy-like effect, and there's knots in there with these lovely structures, as you can see, the light coming through the knots in the columns, and that's actually to represent the knots of a tree. It's beautiful. I just can't express it. The roofs are meant to be inspired by the waves of magnolia leaves. The twisted columns are based on natural twisting of plant stems. It's just incredible, and the colours from the stained glass windows is exceptional. You honestly feel like you are just transported into a completely new world. It was amazing, it really was. The stained glass is it was just my favourite bit. So that, between that and mosaics, I was in heaven with this area. But there was lovely symbolism throughout the whole place, and it was just a really lovely, lovely place to be, really. They do have a little museum on site as well, which was really interesting. And I found out about Gaudi's death, which was he was hit by a tram and died 2 days later, which was not something I actually ever knew, which was very, very interesting indeed. And it was just honestly a really beautiful experience to be there. back from the Sagrada Familia, we actually passed Casa Mille and Casa Batlló. I do apologise if I'm saying all of these places wrong. But we passed those on the way back, which were beautiful. They were €40 to get into them each per person. So that would have been €160 to get into both of these places. So we actually just viewed them from the outside. They looked beautiful, and I don't really regret not going into them this time, but it was just incredible to see them. This Casa Batlló is obviously one of Gaudi's more popular works. You see pictures of this all the time with the kind of skull-like balconies and the beautiful scale-like roof at the top. Incredible. And as you can see in the bottom here, it looked like they had some sort of light show, and I think that's predominantly what you're seeing in there. I'm not sure, but I didn't feel too upset about not going in there. I think it was fine. Now, that was the end of our first day. The second day, the hotel had breakfast included, which was a lovely continental breakfast. We didn't have it every day because it was included for free. We didn't have to pay for it, which was really fortunate, but we did have it a few of the days, and it was just a lovely way to start the day. Now, this day, we ventured out and we headed towards the Cathedral of Barcelona, and on the way there we obviously found an art shop, and this art shop is incredible. I cannot believe it's called Raima, I think, and it was amazing. The bottom floor was all for stationery lovers. It had pens and pens galore. The next 5 floors included paper, it included crafts, it included art on the top, and then I think there was a bar on the very top, but unfortunately that was closed off on this day because it was a little bit dreary on this day, which was unfortunate, but it was still very good weather and very, very warm. But as you can see, it looks incredible in here. I was absolutely in my element. I didn't actually buy anything. I managed to restrain myself, which is something new for me, but I didn't want to. I obviously couldn't take a load of liquids home or anything because we only had hand luggage, which definitely restricted us in that sense, which is probably a good thing. Then we ventured towards the cathedral, like I mentioned. We found this place, which I believe was some sort of religious school, which looked very interesting, but the architecture, every street you went down were beautiful. Even these are probably just apartment blocks, but the balconies were covered in greenery. They were just stunning to look at. And then when we reached the Cathedral of Barcelona, it was a sight to see. Obviously not as good as the Sagrada Familia, but it was still absolutely beautiful. Again, we didn't go in here, but that's fine. It was just really lovely to be here and listen to everything. We then headed towards the Basilica de Santa Maria, and we actually discovered these archives. So this is the historical archives of the city of Barcelona, and they were beautiful. Really random that we discovered them, but really beautiful nonetheless. And on the top floor here is this piece called The Constant Face. So this is an independent artwork. The Constant Face maintains a visual dialogue with the visitor. It is a composition of 103 portraits accumulated from the 1920s to the present day, representing working people from the archive. So I thought that was really beautiful. And then we proceeded along the beautiful alleyways, and we did see the Santa Maria Basilica, but it was very dreary, so you just saw a quick clip there. But we then ended up at the Mercat de la Boqueria, I think it's called, and it's basically a food market. This is probably a very touristy version of the food markets around Barcelona, but it was beautiful nonetheless to see. We tried some wraps, we tried some empanadas, some chocolate strawberries, some churros, and some candied nuts, which we definitely got fleeced with, but it was an experience nonetheless, and it was a beautiful place to be, and it was bustling. I definitely recommend going there on maybe a quieter day, but it was lovely nonetheless. We then ventured out, and as you can see here, it started to absolutely pour it down. So the only thing we could think of doing that was close to us was the L'Aquarium de Barcelona, which I usually would be something that I wouldn't usually go into, but I researched about it, and it's also actually a research centre with agreements with university and research centres, and is recognised for its work in marine conservation, and I felt like it was an okay place to visit. And when we went inside there, everything looked beautiful and clean, and everything had big tanks and things, so I felt a little less guilty about going there. But all I can tell you is the rain was lashing it down. We were soaked through, and it was the only indoor place that we could go to nearby, and it was stunning. Do you know, I do have a guilty pleasure of watching fish in aquariums. I think they are stunning, and it's something that you don't often get to see. Obviously, if you go into the sea, it's a bit more difficult. You need a diving license, etc. And this was just a perfect way to do it. And there was this amazing massive tank full of sharks, stingrays, etc., manta rays, and it actually had this conveyor belt on it, so you went up to it and everyone got on the conveyor belt in turn, and it took you around this humongous tank, and it was just a really beautiful experience to see it and just take it all in. And it made sure you didn't rush through, it made sure you looked through it. We did actually wish we'd gone round it twice, which is a shame, but it was a really beautiful thing to see. They also had some penguins, which were beautiful. You'll see that in a minute. They also had jellyfish, moon jellyfish, which were incredible, and given my jellyfish series that's currently going on, it was a really lovely experience. They also had some really, really beautiful seahorses as well, and also given since I'd done the seahorse series, it was a really lovely thing to see too. It was really, really beautiful and really relaxing, and a great way to spend a day. If you're a family and you're going to Barcelona, it would be a lovely place to go and take your children. Now we are on to the next day, and on our way to our next destination we actually stumbled across this bead shop, which was 5 aisles of beads, as many beads as you can imagine. It was amazing. And then we headed to the Molotov Barcelona shop, which was also incredible, and I picked up some new pens from there. They were incredible in there, they helped me with everything. And eventually we have arrived at the Arc de Triomphe in Barcelona, which obviously they have the one in Paris, and this is the Barcelonian version. It was a very lovely structure. I did do a quick sketch of it, and we listened to this lovely piper too. And at the end of that promenade was the Parc de la Ciutadella, I think that's how you say it, which was beautiful. It had a little botanical garden, etc, etc. But the main key event of this park is definitely the Cascada, and this is it. It is stunning. It has the bluest waters, etc. But unfortunately today, and I think for a little while, it's not been running, and I'm not really sure why. It was beautiful though. The structures in it, I can just imagine the fountain running and it being absolutely incredible. And yeah, it was just a real amazing sight to see. So I'll let you have a look at that, and then we'll move on from here. Now at the end of that, we actually headed towards an Irish pub and we watched rugby for the rest of the day, so there was nothing else to be had for that day. It was a bit dreary towards the end. But then the next day we actually headed towards Park Güell. Now this was incredible. It really was. The architecture here, the massive Gaudi presence was incredible. Eusebio Güell was one of Gaudi's biggest patrons and friends and gave him a lot of work. Now Park Güell was originally meant to be an urban development project that was awarded to Gaudi, a prominent Catalan industrialist whose plan was to build 61 houses for well-to-do families along with a network of roads, viaducts and stairs to make it easier to get around the hilly terrain. Güell wanted to recreate the British residential parks and locate homes close to the nature, hence why it's called Park Güell. Works began in the 1900s and finished in 1914 with the construction of the Pillared Hall and the bench. The park is organised around a central court of monuments, the staircase, the Pillared Hall and the square. Work came to an end in 1922 following the failure of the urban development project. Güell sold the park to the city council, which opened it to the city as a public park, and it is beautiful. Look at these columns underneath and all of this amazing just architecture is incredible, and the mosaics around here. There's obviously the very common salamander here. Unfortunately a lot of it was blocked off, but it was still beautiful to see. It's just a shame that you got a lot of the scaffolding and things in the background of a lot of the pictures. But my videos here come to an end this day. We enjoyed the day, we saw all these incredible things, so you'll see a couple of pictures coming here. But the main reason for only having pictures from now on is because we were just relaxing. We'd gone around the whole park. Natalie led us up this lovely pathway to a bit more of a secluded area, and we were just looking out at the scenery, and the next minute I know Natalie has come down on one knee and has proposed to me. So we are now engaged, happily engaged, and as you can tell we were just incredibly happy, and I just took no more videos this day. That's where it happened, just in the distance underneath those palm trees, and we are very happy, and it was honestly the most perfect place to have it done, the most perfect setting, and somehow Natalie, amongst all the massive crowds, managed to take me somewhere a bit more private, a bit more secluded, and proposed to me, and it was really beautiful. We probably spent another half an hour to an hour just taking photos and trying to absorb everything. It was really beautiful. Following that day, we did a lot more things that day, but like I said, I didn't take any more videos. Our next day, we woke up and we didn't really have many plans. My feet, unfortunately, were in pain. I had big blisters on them because we'd walked so much and utilised so much of our time. So we went over to Montjuic, which has this beautiful gallery, as you can see there, and is meant to have big cascading waterfalls into that fountain, but unfortunately, again, they were not running, and I'm not really sure why. I think they do a light show, so they were running a couple of evenings, but we didn't know that. And this was on the Monday, and we headed up here to hopefully go into this gallery. There was a botanic gardens behind it, as you can see here, but unfortunately everything was properly closed. This was just a small snippet of the botanical gardens because the main part was closed, and also it's just not the right time of year. Nothing was blooming, nothing was looking its best, so unfortunately we didn't actually go in anywhere this day. But after we ventured around here, we actually found the old Olympic Park behind us, which was really interesting that we managed to find this. It was very interesting to see, actually, and how vast it was. I had a little break for my feet, and then we ventured back round to the front of the gallery, and we just sat there listening to the buskers and enjoying the sunshine. It was really beautiful. And on our final morning, before we got on our flight, we managed to fit in the Palace Güell, which again is another commission from Güell to Gaudi to create this wonderful palace-like home for him, his wife and his extensive amount of daughters, and it was incredible. It honestly, it doesn't look like a palace from the outside, but inside is incredible. They had this lovely chapel room here that went up to the top spire, which you'll see in a minute, and each of their rooms for all the daughters, all the servants, the Güell and his wife, they all had fireplaces, which is something that I didn't really think in too much depth about, but as you got to the ceiling here, again I forgot to do videos, you see all these incredible chimneys, and they're all decorated in Gaudi's very strange style of working, very Dr. Seuss, and they're all done with these lovely mosaics, and these are all chimneys, and it was quite incredible, and really lovely last thing to see before we went. I feel like we crammed everything in. And then our final departure back home to very dreary, rainy Britain from the lovely last couple of days of sun in Barcelona. And I hope you've enjoyed this really quick whistle-stop tour, which may have been longer, but we ended up just basking in our new engagement, and it was just a really lovely time and a really lovely 30th birthday treat as well, and it was just amazing. I can't express to you and find the words enough to tell you, but I hope you've enjoyed watching all the same. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.